What's going on, everybody? We're here for another week edition of the 216 pregame show. I am Jared Fatty Bates. He is Brian Phillips. Welcome on in. Here we go, week two. Brian, week one did not go the way we wanted.
Oh, I'm still hurting. Oh my gosh, it did not go well at all. Still hurting, man. I made all my rants and I'm still sad. I'm still mad at our wide receivers. I'm still mad at the damn kicker.
Yeah, I would be mad at the kicker too, especially with the hot take you had at the end of our last show, and that you said he would make all of his kicks.
Don't remind me.
Hey, I love the text message after I was like, "Oh," you're like, "Yeah, I'm glad we're not doing a post game show after this one." It was not a good day for everybody involved with the Cleveland Browns. They lost, was it 17-16?
Yep.
Not a good showing. You outscored or outgained the Cincinnati Bengals. It was 327-141. My hot take came through. Your defense held them under to 200. You played enough to win that game, and it just didn't happen. It didn't happen. Brian, what were your thoughts on the last game? How did you think the defense looked?
Well, I'll tell you what. The first part of the game, the first half, I thought kind of went as expected. I didn't expect the rookies to get shell shocked so much. It seemed like Mason Graham and Carson Schlesinger the first half. You didn't really hear about them, right? Good news. Obviously, we didn't hear about Greg Newsome either. But on the defensive side of the ball, obviously, we all know, I'm sure everybody's seen the stat. We held them to 7 total yards in the second half. And, obviously that's due to Graham stepping up, and Schlesinger had 8 tackles, I believe. The rookies really, in one half, flipped the switch, and that made a huge difference, obviously, as you alluded to. Myles Garrett, you predicted it. It came true. Myles had a big game. And unfortunately, I watched it again last night and again this morning, and we just had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to score, and we kicked ourselves in our own butts. Drop passes with this little whoop, throw the pass up to the other team. The kicks, just easy kicks on a nice day. Just a killer way to lose a week one matchup that you clearly, as you stated, outplayed the other team.
Yeah, and those are the games you have to win, Brian.
Yeah.
And that's what sucks is your defense outshined. Myles is a beast. Good God, is he a beast? And like you said, Greg Newsome, I gave him my player of the game. Higgins, I did. T. Higgins was, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins were very quiet on that field. They did not have a run game also. They were held really shallow. So this defense played well enough for you to win this game. And like you said, you just shot yourself in the foot with the drop passes, with the Judy pass, with the Tillman pass. The good thing, one great thing we could take away from this, though, is like you said, the rookies kind of stepped up. Even on the offense, Dylan Sampson showed out. And Fanning Jr., what a gem that was. What did you think of Fanning Jr. and Sampson on the offense?
So Sampson surprised me. I did mention that I thought he was going to have a pretty good game. He surprised the heck out of me. The crazy stat that I saw, and I don't remember the specific numbers now off the top of my head, but I think total yards, Sampson had maybe 94 receiving yards. However, like 35 of them came behind the line of scrimmage, so he didn't even get credit in the stat sheet. I mean, he balled out. Harold Fannin, I was surprised. I thought Njoku would get the lion's share of the targets. I don't have anything access to watch the all 22 or anything, so I don't know if maybe the Bengals were just paying more attention to him and not as much to Fannin. I'll be surprised to see how that works this week. But Fannin, as you said, man, he balled out. 63 yards receiving in his first game as a tight end. I mean, that's pretty much unheard of. So super excited to see how he turns out. What did you think about the trenches? You mentioned the defensive line. What did you think about the offensive line?
I think the offensive line did okay. The thing that sucks though is, man, our run game is just not there. It's not there. It is non-existent. We did put out a poll on Twitter. They were held to 49 rushing yards last week. And it's bad that your quarterback had the most yards per carry at 3.0. Jerome Ford was atrocious. Samson
He's
did
got to go.
the ball. Glad Junkins is back. It sounds like he's going to get some carries today. We don't know. It'll be limited. We don't know how many carries he's going to get. But yeah, I mean, you look at this. You had Dylan Sampson had 12 carries for 29 yards. Ford had 6 carries for 8 yards. Flacco had carries for 6 yards. And then Sanders and even Fanning got a carry for 3 yards. So
Wildcat.
Yeah, so it's not good. And I don't know if it was just the first week kind of just feeling each other out, all that stuff. The one thing I did notice though, obviously Conklin got hurt again. Now I got in an argument with my co-host on my other show that, I'm kind of tired of Conklin to begin with, because it seems like he gets hurt but at least it's not, weekly. He just got poked in the eye, and hopefully he'll be back. I think he might be back today. I have not checked the injury report and all that stuff.
Well, he's got an elbow too, and I actually did some research. So you mentioned he's always injured, and I feel like that about a lot of players, but most of the time when I do the research, I'm wrong. He out of 83 games that he's supposed to have played with the Browns, he's only played in 46 of them.
Oh yeah.
So he has missed 55% of the games that he's gotten paid for. That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. I like him. I'm glad they got him because he was a Pro Bowl right tackle. It's just with this offensive line, you're going to get dinged up, and you can't get dinged up on the first week. Yep. And I think the other thing is I think DeJuan Jones played a great game for the first 2 and 3/4 quarters. And then I think he got tired, and that's when Trey Henderson kind of took over there in the fourth quarter. I have to go back and look at it, but I mean, it seemed like he held his own against the defense line. He's going to have a bigger test today with this defensive line that likes to get after. But the trenches, I think they did okay. We just got to get this running game going. If you can't get the running game going, these little screen passes, you can't have Joe. Okay, he's 40 years old. He can't be throwing the ball 45 times. He can't. He can't do it. Like, it just.
Nope.
And Justin, I love you. He said the kicker kicked a field goal like Fatty going for low-fat ranch at the salad dressing bar. Thanks, Justin. Just a little bit outside.
Well, and actually, if you look at, I don't know how much stock you put into PFF grades, but the Browns' offensive line as a whole graded out really well in the pass protection and really terrible in run protection. So that was one thing that really stood out to me. I mean, not only, Jerome Ford, you just had, some people call him twinkle toes. You just had him dancing back there, not going anywhere. And that's all I've seen from him. But, even Sampson, Sampson only got, I think, 2.4 yards a carry, something like that. So just not good. And yeah, like you mentioned, hopefully Judkins can switch that up. I also watched a decent amount, obviously, as we all know, we're heading into M&T Bank Stadium today at 1 p.m. to play the Ravens, or the Ratbirds, as Justin has mentioned in the chat. What highlights, what takeaways did you see from their game against the Bills in week 1? What stood out to you, Fatty?
They can run the ball whenever the hell they want to. Derrick Henry is just, he's a man beast. He's a man beast. And just, I can't, between him and Lamar Jackson and the rushing attack that they got, and then now, because they really didn't throw the ball that well for that game, but they didn't have to, because Derrick Henry was popping off, 12, 13-yard carries. I think he ended up with, 160 yards, 9 yards an average, 9.4 average. That's insane. Insane. He had 18 carries for 169 and averaging 9.4 yards a carry. That's what you're going up against today, defensive line, and that's what you got to stop. What did you take away from their game?
So that was a big part of it, right? I remember I watched the clips a few times because I did watch the game, but I watched it again. I mean, my goodness, it was Derrick Henry. I don't think was touched typically until the 9, 10, 12 yard, into his rush. Where a lot of the times you watch the Browns and you see we're getting, our running backs are getting hit in the backfield before. It even happened with Chubb, but he was so good that he made up for it. I mean, my gosh, that offensive line for the Ravens, it was just unstoppable. I just kept watching play after play after play. They'd run it up the middle, they'd run it to the side. It was just, it didn't matter what they did. It was just unstoppable. Whereas on the other side of the ball, I saw the Bills really struggle, and we'll talk about this later, but I saw them really struggle running the ball up the middle, man. The interior defense of the Ravens is stout, right? And that's traditionally what's been happening in the last 30 years, right? They are stout up front. They've got stout at the defensive tackle position, and they stopped the run up the middle. Eventually the Bills changed course, I think second quarter, third quarter, and started running the ball outside, spreading the field, throwing short screens to the wide receivers out on the edge, which, forced the Ravens to spread out. And then they were able to get some mojo going and ultimately come back. But the big thing, everybody's talked about this week, and I think we need to touch on, is the Ravens blowing the 15-point fourth quarter lead. And what impact that might have on this game. I'm sure they're a lot more pissed off, putting up 40 points and not winning the game. I didn't understand what the heck Harbaugh was thinking. 3-some minutes left, 4th and 2 on, your side, or sorry, the Bills side of the field. Granted, it was close, but you've got Lamar Jackson, man. If you can't get and Derrick Henry, you can't get 2 yards. They punted the ball, gave Josh Allen a chance to win the game, and he did. Their kickers didn't miss any kicks. So both the Ravens and the Bills.
And Prater just showed up like 48 hours earlier, so that gives you a little hope there, Browns fans.
I think he's older than Joe Flacco.
I think he is.
Oh, don't get me started on Andrew Berry and
we'll talk about him here in a little bit.
Okay. All right. Go on. Any other things to take away from the Bills game? The only other thing I was surprised was the Bills Mafia, man. They get all this credit for being the best franchise, the best fan base in the NFL, and I love Bills fans, don't get me wrong, but apparently they were running out of that stadium. A home game where you're down 8 points with like 6 minutes to go. People are leaving the game. Are you kidding me? Like, what are your thoughts on that, Fatty?
I mean, it was a night game. Let's be honest. It was a night game. They've been out there drinking since noon, jumping through tables, and all this. And, at that point in time, it's like, all right, we got to go to work in the morning. Time to close it in. This game's out of control. I mean, we've all done it. You can't say that we haven't done it. You're down 14 points and you're going like, yeah, we're not coming back from this. Like, we've all done it. You can't say that you haven't left a baseball game knowing that you're down in the ninth and you're like, all right, let's get out of here before traffic gets going real bad.
Maybe a baseball game or two, but man, with the Browns, I never ever leave I mean, look at the example when Joe Flacco played for the Jets. We were up like 20 some points in the fourth quarter and we blew that lead. You just never know, man. I can't leave a Browns game early ever. I don't know. I think that's crazy.
Justin. Oh my God. We're trying to keep this PG, Justin.
Oh, Justin doesn't care. This is YouTube, baby. He's letting it fly.
All right. So we did get the injury report. Andrew Siciliano came out with it. Today's inactives for your Cleveland Browns. Shedeur Sanders, even though he is the emergency third quarterback. Raheem Sanders, Mike Hall, Zach Zinter, and Jack Conklin is out this week. So those
nothing
are your
surprising.
Browns. Nothing surprising there. I'm kind of surprised by Zinter being out. What's wrong with him?
I don't know. I didn't even realize that he was on the injury report. I'm wondering, because I had just pulled it up yesterday and he had nothing next to his name. I wonder if maybe they're just bringing in some other offensive lineman to see. I've heard nothing but bad things about him all off season. So maybe they're just getting him out of there. I don't know. Yeah, Justin said, "Oh, Sanders got demoted." Justin, you almost got me.
Yeah, he almost got you on that one. All right, so coming up here in a little bit, we haven't announced it yet, but we will have Casey Kinnaman from the Barking Browns show, also from All Eyes on Cleveland, is going to be joining us. We're going to be popping him some questions here a little bit later. And go vote on our Twitter poll right now. Our Twitter poll is with the Browns only rushing, let's see here, let me pull it back up.
49 yards.
Yeah, 49 yards. What yardage do you think they will get today against this Ravens defense? We have 0 to 50, 50 to 100, and 100 plus. Right now, it is 50 to 100 at 100% right now. Also, we had our poll from last week, and we'll talk about this now. We asked what your win total is for the Browns this year. We had 0 to 5, 6 to 11, and 12 to 17. 51% said 6 to 11, and 41% said 0 to 5. So that shows you where the fan base is right now with what's going on with this Browns team. And with that being said, I had somebody bring it up to me. You know, your expectations this year are kind of similar to mine and everything else. And even though they did lose that first game to Cincinnati, as a fan, should you just not care about it because you want them to have a better draft pick coming up next year's draft? Or do you want them to win? Because that's where I kind of got upset about it. I'm like, you had a chance to win. And they're like, well, why? We're not going anywhere this year. We're not going to the playoffs. We're not going to go to the Super Bowl. So why would you even care about that? Do you have a similar feeling?
I don't. I can't. I never do. I think it's silly. I mean, one of the things that really bothers me every year is, especially we're in QB purgatory in Cleveland, right? Pretty much my whole life. You can't always wait for next year. You can't, the quarterbacks coming out in the next draft can't always be the best. There's very few times that happens. And even if that's the case, you got to count on people to get that pick right or what. There's so many variables. You just never, ever know. And we're only going off of 1 week's worth of data, right? But this season, I truly think Kevin Stefanski, every year that he is doubted, every year that he's been down and out, and everybody thinks that the Browns are going to suck circa 2020 or 2022. You know, it's almost like a roller coaster with him, right? Every year that you don't expect him to do well, he surprises you. So that's why I made a bold prediction thinking that the Browns were going to win 9 games this year. I think the defense is going to be much like 2023, and they have certainly in one game at least showed us that. And I just, as a fan, I can't just not watch the games, right? What are you're going to root for them to lose? I don't understand I get it logically, but in my heart, I can't do it. What about you?
No, and I agree. Like if they're going to if they get beat and it looks like they're lose, that's fine. But like that game against the Bengals, like you had a chance to win that game. And they're I've had friends who are like, well, we're really not expecting them to do anything. So what does it matter? And I'm like, you had it right there. You had it in your hands to win that game and actually start a season 1-0, going into another AFC North game against Baltimore, who is very tough to begin with. I mean, right now we're a 12-point spread, for the game. I mean, it's unreal. So if you can at least get that first win and get some sort of like hope into this fan base, but it's just like everybody's like, well, it's always next year. There's always next year. There's always next year. It's like we've been doing always next year since 1999.
Well, I think that what you see, I think, is just a bunch of people that are a victim of just building up hope, and then they get let down. They build up their hope for the next year, they get let down, right? So a lot of people at some point you get numb to it, right? You're like, I can't put my effort into, I can't put my heart into it because I don't want to get let down, right? Just like Justin said earlier, it's like an ex-girlfriend or something, right? Yeah. You can only break up so many times before you realize you're just as Taylor Swift would say, we are never getting back together.
Gail comes in with a great question here. What do you do today if we lose to some kicker follies? Uh, I I think today for this kicker, the best thing that is happening is he is in Baltimore. If he
Mm.
was here in the stadium and he missed like one kick, it would probably mentally break him here because you know how the fans are here. They would just they would boo him nonstop. At least he's at an enemy stadium where he's going to get booed anyways. It doesn't
Mm.
really have the pressure today with the fan base behind him and everything else. But if he does miss kicks today, I'm pretty sure they're going to leave his ass there in the Chesapeake Bay.
He will. I would be shocked if he misses an easy kick today and stays with the team. They didn't try anybody out. They didn't bring anybody on the practice squad this week, so that shows you how confident they are in him. But again, I have no confidence in Andrew Berry's talent evaluation. But I think especially if he loses us another game, you cannot roll that man out in week 3. A lot of people said on the field they knew he was missing that second kick after the first one, that he just didn't have the confidence going out there. So, but I can't say it. This is the Browns, Fatty. You can't say anything with 100% certainty with something that makes sense.
Did you feel the same way about that kicker as I did? As soon as he missed that extra point on the touchdown, you just went, shit, we're going to lose just because like that. As soon as that happened, I just sat back. I'm like, this is how we're going to lose right here because of that freaking kick.
I didn't. I used to feel that way, but not recently. I mean, Kevin Stefanski is just he's so aggressive in his play calling and always going for it on fourth down and stuff. I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if we had scored a touchdown that he would have definitely gone for 2. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel that way anymore. My heart was just like, man, here we go again. Like we replaced Dustin Hopkins with Dustin Hopkins 2.0. Like we've had bad kicking since Andrew Berry has been here. He's tried drafting players, picking people up, trading for them. It's just he doesn't have an eye for it for whatever reason, and it still kills me that we don't have Phil Dawson or somebody who knows how to kick a football in the Browns Stadium on this coaching staff either. So I didn't feel exactly that way, but I felt a similar way.
Yeah. All right. So seeing everything, and you were talking about Andrew Berry and how you're kind of disappointed in Andrew Berry. Go ahead, explain on that.
So the thing that grinded my gears this week, if you will, was I saw a lot of people, number one, blame Kevin Stefanski for week 1. They said he loses close games and that's on him and it's his fault because he's not maybe aggressive enough or this, that, and the third. That to me, that game, he did everything that he could. He didn't make that kicker miss the field goal. He didn't make the kicker miss the easy extra point. He certainly didn't have any effect on Jerry Jeudy, a wide receiver who gets paid $1 million per game plus, dropping balls, them throwing the balls up to the other team. He didn't have anything to do with any of that. I don't know how you coach that out of somebody. I don't know how you could blame the coach. That drove me crazy. But Andrew Berry specifically, I saw a lot of people giving him a pass saying that, because he tried to replace the kicker, that being Derek Hopkins at the beginning of the season with this new guy, Andre Schmidt, that we should give him a pass, basically, that anything else is just pushing a narrative. And I just said, whoa. I completely disagree. If you are the general manager and you replace somebody, you can't just replace him with somebody else who sucks. Like, you have to replace him with somebody better. Otherwise, you should have just rolled Dustin Hopkins out there. You're the one who signed him to some big contract, and then he would have missed, and we'd be like, well, that's what we expected. Am I crazy?
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I don't think you're crazy with that. I don't think that, he can evaluate the kicking talent, and we haven't been able to do it since Phil Dawson to begin with. And it's like we have outliers with the kick. And I hate to blame it on one person, but for that game, it was one person. It was one person missed, a 30, 35, 36-yard field goal. Guess what? Those are chip shots now in the NFL. You have to make those. Now, if it was like a 55-yarder and he missed it, be like, all right, well, it was a little longer. But man, it just I agree with you that he just can't see the talent with the kicking, and something's got to change there with that because, like you said, he's drafted, he's brought in people, signing people off the bench. So it just, hey, go down to Columbus Crew. Like I said, drive down 71, go to the Crew, get one of the kickers down there, bring them in here. Let's get a soccer foot in here.
Worked for the Cowboys.
It did.
I know we got 5 minutes till Casey joins us. I mean, is there anything you want to kind of shift gears into the game coming up before he jumps on? Is there anything specifically we want to touch on before he joins us?
Yeah. So far with this game coming up on today, I think the Browns really do need to stop the rush, and they've been very successful at it with the Baltimore Ravens. They were able to. I think they're the only team that's held Derrick Henry under 80 yards rushing. I think they can also, contain Lamar Jackson. The only thing that concerns me, though, and this is what we'll probably bring up with Casey here in a little bit, we drafted a certain linebacker for this person, JOK. He is not here anymore.
Yep.
And what kind of impact are we going to have without JOK here? And what kind of impact will Carson Schlesinger have if he can play like JOK and try to contain this? Because JOK did an amazing job against the Baltimore Ravens, whether it be in the run defense or the pass defense, and containing Lamar Jackson. And we don't have that now. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. I have cautious optimism in exactly what you just brought up. I liked what I saw out of Schlesinger. Obviously, there's been a lot of, we talked about this last week, there's been a lot of hype around that guy. So I'm excited to see what he can do against Lamar, but I think this isn't a huge litmus test for him. As you mentioned, JOK was probably the perfect player to contain Lamar Jackson. And when he didn't play for us, the results speak for themselves, right? So I think it's going to be huge whether Schlesinger can fill that role or not. And honestly, I probably will argue with myself after the game if it doesn't go well. But I think you got to give him time, right? I mean, remember, JOK had a decent rookie year. He stunk it up his sophomore season, and then all of a sudden became elite in his third season. So I don't think we can necessarily just judge Schlesinger on this one game. But I think like I said, I think it's going to be a big litmus test to see what you have in the man and if he can indeed contain Lamar. All right. I'm super curious. Like I said, cautiously optimistic. I think he's got it in him, but I don't know that we necessarily see it today. You see it any other way?
Well, let's bring on Casey and let's ask Casey that question.
Yeah.
Okay. We have Casey Kinnaman here from All Eyes on Cleveland and the Barking Browns. What's going on, Casey? How you doing, bud?
What is up, gentlemen? How we doing?
Good.
Bud.
Nice seeing your face again. You're doing awesome as always.
Appreciate it. I'm glad you guys had me on.
So you heard us just talk about JOK and the missing impact. What do you think about this today?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so much of a quandary when you're facing Lamar Jackson because you need to spy him in some form or fashion. And if out of all the linebackers in the NFL, JOK was the best equipped to do that. Yeah, I mean, he's literally super quick, twitched up. No, he's not a huge guy. He's, they had him listed at 220. I'd be surprised if he weighed 215. But most teams, if they attempt to do it, they got to do it with a safety. The Browns were afforded the luxury of being able to do that with a linebacker. Obviously, with JOK out of the mix for at least this year, possibly longer, could be an entire career for all we know. And then it puts you in a different frame of mind if you're going to try to contain Lamar as far as just escape lanes. But this is a whole problem because Baltimore's plan A, it works. Baltimore's plan A is to come downhill, and they got Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. Like, if there was ever a game where it just comes down to discipline, whether that's rush lane integrity, pass lane integrity, this is the game. Because what happens is, and you see this with every Baltimore, if you look at just last week, they had 8 explosive plays, 8 plays over 20 yards or more against Buffalo. If you're the Browns, that number's got to be cut in half at minimum. You're not going to be able to keep up with them doing that. But what happens is, say you're Mason Graham and you're A gap. I'm A gap. And for the first 3 plays, Lamar starts off in the A, bounces to B. Well, the second you bounce to B quicker and get outside of your job, he's gone. I mean, that's just how they gas you, man. So it's about being disciplined, and that still might not stop them from getting their yards. But their plan A is so strong, you have to fully commit to it. Now they have secondary and tertiary issues. You got Zay Flowers or even late stage DeAndre Hopkins on the boundary. That's still a problem. Mark Andrews can control the middle of the field. Now they're out without Isaiah Likely this week. So that kind of limits them over the middle of the field more than it normally would. But like, if they beat you with their secondary and tertiary weapons, you have to live with it. You have to stop playing A. It's commit. And Carson Schwarzenegger was a draft crush of mine way soon back. I couldn't understand how he couldn't get on the field at UCLA as a junior, because when you see what he was able to do, it's like a cheat code. He's a tackling machine. Normally when you hear of a walk-on, you start to think maybe he's a try-hard. This dude's an elite level athlete, and he tries hard, and his anticipatory skills, he can diagnose, click, and close. He can do all the things. For God's sakes, he's wearing the green dot as a rookie for a Jim Schwartz defense. Like, if that doesn't tell you where they think he's already at, you know what I mean? So I think that equips you better in the running game. Does that help you with Lamar Jackson? I'm not so sure. So it's about trying to funnel Lamar to, you just can't give him the escape lanes, because he will take them. And Lamar Jackson might be the greatest reactionary athlete I've ever seen. He didn't even make the initial move. He lets you make the move, and then he just reacts to it. And he's such a phenomenal athlete that it looks second nature to him. So get him off the spot, get him rattled, and gang tackle. Run to the ball, boys, because the play's not over till the echo of the whistle.
Yeah. And Casey, you mentioned the defense, or the Ravens run game. I want to flip it over to the Browns rush game. When I watched that game against the Bills, it looked like the Bills were struggling to run it up the middle. And about mid-game, they changed their game plan. They started attacking the sides of the field, whether that was through the rushing or the passing, quick screens and stuff like that. Do you think, and all I've seen really in the last few years is the Browns really run it up the middle. I haven't seen them run on the outside much at all. Do you think they have that in them? Do you think they'll make that adjustment as the Bills did? Or do you see them just trying to go right up the middle again?
See, we kind of saw that last week against Cincinnati, because the Browns had no answer between the tackles. They just started pitching the ball to Sampson in space. Yeah. So I think that is going to be part of their game plan. But this whole philosophical shift from going from what they were in last year to back to Stefanski's wide zone scheme. Now, we're going to be without Jack Conklin today, which he's a big part of that run game, his athleticism, getting out in space and creating lanes and displacement. But yeah, they have to. And with Quinshon getting his debut today, I don't know what that looks like. I don't know, because he is the hammer between the middle. If you're just looking at what this team lacked was juice between the tackles, he can kind of give that to you. But that feels like it's going to be a limited sample size today. The reports are he's going to receive the backup running back shares. So that's Ford's 7 carries or whatever it was from last week. If you're just looking at it like that. But if he breaks one, do you just go away from him just because of it's a numbers game? Like, you need that juice between the middle, and you have to enforce your will, because you didn't have much success against Cincinnati's front. And I'm not trying to throw shade on Cincinnati's front. They're not Baltimore. Between Travis Jones, Madubuike, Roquan Smith, Trenton Simpson, they're pretty stout through the middle. So to have success there, and that's what it's going to take. First down run efficiency for both teams is such a massive deal in this game. Because the Browns can hunt. If you're in predictable passing downs, the Browns defense can hunt. And Lamar's a different animal than any other quarterback, so there's different rules of engagement. But as far as the Browns, man, you can't be staring at 3rd and 9. You got to find a way to 3rd and 4s. You have to. And then the quick game, as you mentioned, the quick screen game, stuff like what we saw at Harold Fannin Jr. last week. That'll play. That kind of stuff will play. Little pop passes to David. Like, you could, and Flacco loves to use the tight ends over the middle of the field as well. So I think that could be a massive part of it. But if you can't get that run game going, that short pass game becomes an extension of your run game. So I don't think they can do what they had last week. I don't think I think 2.6 a carry. We'll get blown out the building for that. The Browns, they got to approach that 4. They have to approach that 4 number. And that was why I was most disappointed last week, is all the expectations I had. One of them was I thought that offensive line would dominate Cincinnati's front, and they did not.
Yeah. And speaking of that offensive line, as we're talking about it, Conklin is out today. Zinner is out today. DeJuan Jones, like I thought last week, played a very good first half, and then the second half, it looked like he got tired, and Trey Henderson started playing with him there in the second half.
Yeah.
What can we expect from them today? I mean, I miss the old school days where we were able to just bully run over everybody. And it just seems like this offensive line hasn't gotten back to it. Is it because we're just full of veterans and, we need a young pup in there to, throw some weight around? What do you think?
Well, there's a very real possibility this group has aged out. But the experience, and on paper, you can squint your eyes and see maybe they can still be a top 20 to 15 unit, but the days of them being a top, I think the tip of the spear, that's gone. But even today, you need to get younger. Well, you're replacing Jack Conklin with Cornelius Lucas, who's in his mid-30s. Now, I think Cornelius Lucas can hold up well against Kyle Van Noy. I think that won't be a wash, I think. But the DeJuan situation is kind of weird because kid can pass block. His run game is atrocious. He's not creating the displacements you would like to see. As far as his horizontal movement, as far as pass blocking, you can see where playing basketball growing up definitely helped his footwork. But when he has to get vertical and push and get to a second level, it's just not there. Joel played well. Ethan was okay in pass, terrible in run. But this team, they need to be a run-first team. That needs to be the identity of this team, especially with that defense. Control the clock and give your defense rest, and you can see what they're capable of. So I don't have crazy high hopes for the offensive line. For me, it's like survive and advance. That's the way I look at this, and it's don't just keep Joe standing. Like last week, they didn't really take deep shots. I don't think they thought they could. I don't think they thought they had that kind of time, and DeJuan's, that's Trey Hendrickson, man. He led the league in sacks. That dude's an animal. That dude's an animal with a crazy motor. So I'm not going to throw DeJuan week one and be like, okay, he can or can't. He needs to make steps. I mean, this is a guy that if he could solidify that left tackle spot, because next year, man, if you look at the contract situation, this is going to be a radically different offensive line next year, which is why I'm kind of still disappointed that Zach Zinter is a healthy scratch. Like, that is a guy you drafted to be one of those guys who just takes over for Wyatt or Joel, or, and he can't even get active for game day. That's worrisome to me, because you need to see something out of these young guys, even just in backup roles. We don't have to think too far back when we would just go jumbo and bring an extra offensive lineman on the field.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen that yet. I don't know if they trust their depth like that.
Yeah. And you had mentioned a little bit about the pass game. Let's switch over to that. So one thing that concerned me, and give me your thoughts here. So I thought about it and I was curious. I think in the offseason, the Browns spent so much time trying to figure out who should be the quarterback, developing two rookies and Kenny Pickett, which I thought was kind of, always for a trade. But it didn't seem like the wide receivers and Joe Flacco had very good chemistry week one. Obviously, the drops, I shed all my tears earlier before you hopped on with us, crying about that. So do you think that gets better in week two, now that they've had another week of focusing on Joe Flacco as QB1 on those practices? What do you think, Casey?
Yes, but the question is how much better? How much incrementally? You know what I mean? Because it's time on task, it's reps. We're talking about a seasoned vet, and I kind of I feel bad for Tillman because of the last volleyball set. It kind of erased he had an amazing game, man. And he was creating separation, strong hands on the boundary. He shows you the vision of what they thought he could be. And if you thought how much he evolved since the first time Flacco was here in 23, they could not get on the same page. Yep. There was constant times that Tillman wasn't where Flacco expected him to be. Well, that they've crossed that part of it now. So now it's about just being consistent. And Judy's going to have big games. He's probably going to have games kind of similar to what we saw. It's going to be hit or miss. When he hits, it's huge, But with this team's personnel, you're going to see a ton of 12 personnel. Harold Fannin Jr. is a cheat code. Kevin Stefanski loves 12 personnel, and he's never had a tight end two with this skill set. Just the alignment versatility alone. If you look at his snaps in week one, he played over 70% of the snaps, and he was like 16 snaps in the slot, 11 on the end line, 4 as a wide receiver, 3 in the backfield, 1 as a quarterback. Like, you can literally just move this guy over the formation and create mismatches. So I think they're going to try to live in 12 personnel, which you're going to only have 2 receivers on the field most times. So it's going to be Judy and Tillman. Thrash kind of went away. They might try to sneak some stuff in for Bond. It's just deep threat options, maybe some smoke screens, end around, stuff like that. But I think they're going to live in 12 personnel, and they only need 2 receivers really to step up. And I like what I saw out of Tillman. The volleyball sets are unfortunate for both receivers because that game came down to 4 plays. You're 4 plays away from blowing out Cincinnati, not just beating them. That's a double-digit win. You're talking about 347 yards to 146, 22 first downs to 11. Time of possession, you crushed it. That's a game you should have won by 10 points. But those 4 plays, the great equalizers, turnovers, and you can't do it. Even those aren't perfect balls, but I expect my receivers to go make those catches. They're down and away. They're in theory, it should be your guy or nobody.
Yep.
And you don't see those plays very often, let alone two in the same game that end up like that. So hopefully that bad fortune's over with, and Flacco can get at least one of those guys dialed in each game. I would like to see Cedric Tillman have a big game today to kind of rebound and stay on the upward trajectory.
All right, we haven't got into it yet, but we got to talk about Dicker the kicker. Blown extra point. And then the 36-yarder that he missed, and you heard us talking about it before when you came on here. Those are chip shots now.
Yeah.
They're expecting everybody to be making 50-yarders like it's, you're playing bingo at a bingo hall and just pulling the numbers right out as you go. But hey, do you think that they can get this kid's confidence back this week? And if they can, are they going to stick with him the rest of the year? Because everybody's saying like, oh yeah, we're confident. He's our kicker. We've seen what he's done here. We've seen what he's done here. How do you feel about the kicker?
It's a tough question. All right. So they had to move on from D-Hop. They had to. Dustin Hopkins, I mean, it was over. And Schmidt here was lights out all preseason. Not just like he was down the middle striping things. And from everybody I've talked to, been at practices, and same thing there. And he's hitting 60-yarders in pregame. And so you get why they made the move to make him the kicker. That was one take coming out. It was like, oh, Stefanski should be fired for that, letting that guy be your kicker. Well, he was automatic all preseason. They had no reason to think that, but new information presented itself last Sunday. Like, I'm kind of miffed that they didn't bring anybody in to work out against him, which shows you they are all in with him for this week. They don't want to shake his confidence by bringing someone else in. So they're giving him this week. But if you don't think back to 2018, you start off with Austin Seibert. That experiment lasted 2 games, and then you brought in Greg Joseph. You know what I mean? You can't allow a kicker to cost you games like this. And those are chip shots. And in this current NFL, I remember, back in the day, man, a 35-yarder was iffy. Now that's automatic for these kids. Like, you can't. Hell, man, just go get a kid from College Game Day. They're striping them. You know what I mean? Like, you'll find somebody. I promise. But I do think this is kind of it. Now, could he go out there and kick the game winner and all is forgiven? Yeah, that's the life in the NFL. It's a high pressure situation. If he hits a 54-yarder walk off, like, I don't think we're going to be like wringing our hands. But the reality is, the first time he flubs something up, it's going to bring up all the emotions from last week, and it's going to snowball. And then they'll at minimum have to bring someone in to try to beat him. Because I know a lot of people want to just cut him. It's like, okay, we'll replace him first and then cut him. But baby steps here. So I do believe this is the ultimate audition week for him.
And one more question for you on the defensive side of the ball for the Browns. Again, the Bills game, I'll reference that. Derrick Henry, again, just seemed to go untouched for the first 12 yards every run. So do you think he does that to the Browns? Do you think the defensive line is stout enough to shut him down and get in the backfield? What are your thoughts?
Shut him down is a tall order. But yes, I do believe that this front's athletic enough. Stout enough. Mason Graham, I know a lot of got made of what he looked like on the first couple drives last week, but he rebounded well. He's a gamer. For me, it's about, and the Browns have historically done a decent job at this with Derrick Henry. He's had a couple games where he's gotten loose, but for the most part, they are able to stretch him horizontally. You let that kid get vertical, and like you said, if he gets 8 yards without getting touched, good luck if you're a safety. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want Denzel anywhere near that. That sounds insane to me. But it's about creating contact at the line of scrimmage, stretching him horizontally. Because if you do let him gash vertical, man, that's tough, man. He's 6'3" and change and 240 pounds, man. That's bigger than Schlesinger. That's about his size, And we're talking about a guy who can still get in the 4.4s. His GPS data last year was insane. He hit like 21.5 miles an hour at that size. That's unfair, So do I think they can? Yes, but don't get discouraged if he breaks one. Because it's Derrick Henry, man. Yeah. He's going to Canton. You know what I mean? Like, it's, and I'll say this about Baltimore. I've kind of been waiting on their demise. When they had their major brain drain a couple years ago and lost their OC and lost their DC, I'm like, okay, we'll see what they got now. And then Todd Monken stepped in, and I didn't think Monken was a good fit for what they do. Flawless. Right away. They go sign Derrick Henry, and in my mind, I'm like, this is kind of a good thing because this takes the ball out of Lamar's hands. No, not a good thing at all. It's the worst. Like they keep finding the pieces to the puzzle, man, and making it work. So yeah, if plan A, you got to stop this rushing attack. Now, what does that mean? Stop this rush attack. If you hold them under a buck, if they at the end of the day, if they only rush for 93 yards, brother, that's a win. You know, because you saw last week, what they have 250 yards rushing.
Yeah, it was.
And I know they lost the game, but if they played Buffalo, they'd be favored. Like they're a machine. You just can't let them get rolling, man. And it's about starting fast. You have to start fast against Baltimore because they are a team that is well equipped to play with the lead. So this first quarter, it's all hands on deck, baby.
Yeah, they had 238 yards rushing last week.
Oh my God. Yeah, teams with over 235 yards rushing and 40 points were 270-0.
Yeah,
going into that game.
Well, not anymore.
That's if that isn't a Brown stat for you right there.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right, Casey, before we kick you off here, bud, I can't thank you enough for your time. Give us your score prediction for today and give us an X factor or a hot take that you got for today.
Okay, so when I look at Baltimore, well, what's feasible? If you can hold them to 24 to 27 points, you can be in it. Once they cross that, this offense isn't, it's just tough sledding. So Browns win 24-27. Schmitty kicks the game-winning field goal.
Oh, I love it.
But the reason the Browns win this game is the defense forces 3 turnovers. That's it. That's the prescription. And Baltimore will still score points, even with those kind of odds. But this is, and we didn't even touch on it, so I'll spend very little time on this. The sheer disrespect that we're facing today going to Baltimore, they celebrate their 30th anniversary.
We're getting into that next.
Buddy, yeah, like I thought I was healed from that. That ripped my 16-year-old heart open right again, just like I was right back there. And it's and I know the players can't feel my pain. And I know that most of them weren't even born when this happened. So it's, it's whatever to them. But understand this, you were scheduled for homecoming. That's what this is. And if you've been on a bad football team, you know what's up. You've been on a couple of teams' homecomings. You're the lamb led to slaughter. And I think they're more offended about this point spread, which was 12.5 points last time I looked on FanDuel.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be highly competitive. I think they're really going to bring it. And if they do lose today, it isn't over, man. I know a lot of people are going to want to bury them. This is Baltimore. Baltimore is a tip of the spear Super Bowl contender, and you're in their house. Historically, a tough place to play. So and I'll be in Cleveland next week for the Packers game. So I would be pumped to come home to a 1-1. So a lot of this might be wish casting, but I see a very competitive game. I think the Browns offense will put up some points today, and I think the defense will get turnovers, and that could be the difference.
Do I see a Fatty Casey dinner date coming next week?
Buddy, I'll be there. All
right. Yes, all right. Catch him on All Eyes on Cleveland, the Barking Brown Show. Casey, I can't thank you enough for joining us today, helping us break down this game. I appreciate it, bud, and enjoy your day. And go Browns.
Go Browns, man. Thanks for having me.
See you.
Go Browns. Thanks, Case.
Woo! Right. Talk about some hot stuff there, right?
Man, I mean that's just getting me all excited. I might change my prediction. I don't know.
All right, look, he dabbled into it. It is the 30-year anniversary for the Cleveland Browns being stolen from the city of Cleveland and taken to Baltimore. And for young kids that do not know, my kids do not know, that was like just 95 and ripping the heart out of Cleveland. That did it right there. And to all these people that actually say, well, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter. No, it matters. It matters to us as fans. And I think the reason why it matters so much is I think if Baltimore would just be mediocre, I think it wouldn't sting as much. But they've won Super Bowls. They have Hall of Famers. And that was our team. That was our people that you guys took from us. And they don't understand that. How do you feel about it?
So I'm a little different on it. I feel the pain, right? I feel it as a fan. but I know they don't care, right? The
Hmm.
NFL doesn't care. They could have changed the schedule knowing that the Ravens were going to have their first home game. They chose not to. The Ravens could have moved it to a different game. They chose not to. The Ravens don't care. Most people in the Browns organization don't care. They weren't here, right? From GM, CEO, owner, all of them. None of them were here in 94, 99, all that stuff. None of them care. For the NFL, it's all about the money, and it's probably an additional storyline that they can tack on, right? So I care, but they don't. So you're not going to see any additional motivation from even somebody like Ward or Myles Garrett. They're just playing another game. I don't think they care at all. And so that just kind of dulls it back for me, if they don't care, but you're right. I think you're right. The biggest problem the Browns have, let's be frank about it, have pretty much sucked since they came back, right? They've won one playoff game.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it. The Ravens have won 2 Super Bowls. They just seem to be good every year. And it's like, I don't know the perfect analogy, but it's like, you break up with a girl, you think she's, not great. And then she goes on to be some super successful person. Maybe it hurts or lingers or something, I don't know. But I've heard a lot of people compare, oh, well, we got, the Colts were stolen from us as Baltimore. It's like, yeah, but your team has won Super Bowls. Our team has sucked for the whole time that you guys, and that was our team, right? So I understand it. I get it. I understand it, but I just don't think anybody that's playing on the field today cares.
Yeah. And I know they don't care. I mean, they've been asked about it. All of them were asked about it. I think it's more of a fan's perspective than anything else. And, the fans are upset because it's honestly, hey, it's like a Jalen Carter spit to the face to us right now because for us, it's like, okay, of all days, you could have done this anytime. NFL, you could have scheduled around this.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing what it was, knowing how hard we fought to get the Cleveland Browns back in Cleveland and keep the Browns name. That's the thing. Like, as hard as we fought for it, you're like, come on, just do better. Do better. You know what this is. You guys are doing this to drum up shit from years past to make people feel bad. And guess what? You're doing it right now. I'm watching a Baltimore team, hold up championships that should have been in Cleveland. If they would have stayed in Cleveland, those would have been our championships right there.
Yep.
Like, all right. We got to move on for this, or I'm going to get more and more angry. All right. So let's get into, let's get into this day in history with the Baltimore and Cleveland matchup. And I think you do have a trivia lined up. Do you not?
I sure do.
Let's do it.
I wouldn't let you down, buddy. I know you love the trivia. So one of the biggest games that gave me the warm and fuzzies when I was looking all these up was a matchup back in 2007. It was the second game, week 11. I don't know if many people remember it. Phil Dawson, towards the end of the game, it was a high-scoring game. It was towards the end of the game. I think the Browns were down 27-30. Phil Dawson kicks a field goal, which initially gets called no good, right? Upon further review, the ball had not only hit the sidebar, but then hit the bar that supports the field goal post behind the field goal, then bounced back onto the field of play. So upon further review, the team actually, or the referees actually determined that the field goal was good, right? I'm sure most of us remember that. Then the Browns go on to win with a Phil Dawson field goal, 33-30 in overtime. Now that was 2007, right? So you're talking Romeo Crennel, you're talking Derek Anderson, and Joe Flacco wasn't even a Raven yet. It was Kyle Bowler throwing, so 6 touchdowns, 7 field goals in the game. It was a very exciting one, but I'll bring it back to a little more recent for some Ravens trivia. Okay. So last year, the Ravens racked up 56 sacks in the season, which seems pretty good, right? Where do you think, Fatty, that they ranked amongst all 32 teams with 56 sacks in 2024 season? Also, bonus question for you. I'll let you chew on while you're thinking of that.
Mm-hmm.
Who led the Ravens with the most sacks in 2024? So you want me to cue up the music?
All right. So I think they would probably be got to be right in the middle of the pack with 50.
56.
56. Let's go. I'm going to go 17th.
Ooh, wrong. Way off.
What?
Your radar's off. They were second in the NFL.
Shut up.
I'm not kidding. Only to the Denver Broncos, who actually had 63, which that surprised me even more. But yeah, they were second, buddy. And who do you think had the most sacks on the Ravens last year?
Van Noy.
Madubuike.
Oh, Jesus.
12 and a half.
I'm horrible at this. My God.
You hit it straight down the middle last week, and then you Andre Schmidted it today.
I definitely, we gotta. Somebody wrote down for Conklin, said an eye poke has the dude out for over a week. Yeah, he needs to retire. Okay. Yeah, this is where we're at with this team right now.
Oh, it's so sad.
Where we're at. All right, bud. All right. Let's get into score predicts. Let's get into bowl predicts. Let's get into all that. Last week, obviously, we thought the Browns were going to win. We didn't win that one. But one of us did get their bowl predict right here. And
be humble, baby. Be humble. Hey, come on.
And also, he also got his Myles Garrett pick right too.
I was just waiting for you to just shower me, and I told you so.
All right, so with this going on, all right, keys to the game today. What are your keys to the game today, Brian?
So my keys to the game today, we kind of talked about it earlier. Okay, Carson Schlesinger, can he contain Lamar Jackson? That is the biggest key to this game. And if they can contain him, the other big thing is Mason Graham. I know this, again, these guys are young. This is very early in their careers. But again, Casey mentioned it. I talked about it very early on in this show. The only time that the Ravens were shut down in the running game was when the Bills got pressure up the middle and got a hand on Derrick Henry or got pressure on Lamar and kept him contained. So can Mason Graham, can Carson Schlesinger step up in their second games in the NFL? Welcome to the NFL, boys. Can they do it? If so, I think the Browns could surprise a lot of people, like Casey said. But if not, maybe it goes the other way. What about you? What are your keys to the game?
Like I said, but it's back to the trenches. It's always going to be the trenches with this. They have to run the ball. 29 yards rushing for your leading rusher cannot happen. It can't happen. You have to be able to run the ball. And also, when you run the ball, we got to take a shot downfield. Didn't see many shots during the Bengals game. I hope they get a couple shots downfield, a couple big plays downfield that they need. But, man, they got to run the ball. And like Casey said, hey, you got to stop their run game. If anybody else beats you, that's fine. But you have 238 yards rushing last week. 238 yards rushing last week for this team. You have to stop them from running to win this game. All right, you ready for your bold take?
I've got two of them. As always, I don't I can't just sit with one. I gotta take two bites of the apple, Fatty. So my first one is Isaiah Bond has 75 yards receiving and a touchdown. I think he has a huge play in this game that keeps it live. I think Flacco dimes up a ball to him. I don't think the Ravens played two deep safeties all game like the Bengals did last week. And I also believe that Quinshon Judkins, although common sense says the Browns should not overuse him. Common sense says the man's only had 2 practices in the last 2 months. Common sense says don't don't give him the ball that many times. You had mentioned it earlier, only give him 5 to 7 carries. They don't do that. He ends up with 15 to 20 touches. He ends up with 80-some yards and a touchdown as well. And they go completely against common sense because this is the Cleveland Browns after all. Fatty, what say you? What are your bold predicts that came true last week? So let's make it 2 for 2, baby.
My bold predict is this defense is going to get 2 turnovers. The only reason why I did not give them an A+ last week is because there's no turnovers. They do have to help out this offense, get the ball back for them. And then my second one is keep an eye out. Cedric Tillman today, over 100 yards passing or receiving.
Okay.
Keep an eye out today. I have a weird feeling that he's going to have a big game today. So those are my 2 takes. Justin came in here with his score predict. He has them winning 35 to 14. Ooh, look at that. And he just said, he goes, we're Browns fans. There is no common sense. Ain't that the truth, brother? Ain't that the truth?
It's fine when we say it, right? But when you see it, when you see the coaches and GM do it, then that's when you really scratch your head, right?
Yeah. All right, let's get our score predicts in. Then we will close out this show and let everybody go get ready for the Browns game. Do you want me to go first?
Sure. Let her rip.
All right, I am going to go, and everybody's going like this. I think the Baltimore Ravens are salty from last week. I think they're pissed. And I think the Browns are going to try to give it the best effort they can, but I'm picking Baltimore right now. And I'm picking them 28 to 17.
Damn. Okay.
Sorry.
Well,
hey, I got them under the spread though.
Yeah. Fatty, I think we're in alignment here. Unfortunately, no argument from me. I think the Browns keep it close. Again, I think they do, but ultimately the Ravens just too much star power. Even though I think Coach Harbaugh has kind of lost his fastball and Stefanski is on his heels. I just think I'm right in alignment with you, man. 28 to 20. I think the Browns lose a closer game. I think there's a big drive at the end where Flacco is actually responsible for an interception, and they just kneel it out to win the game, and we go into next week 0-2, and probably enter Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders talk. I'm just fearful of it. So
me too, buddy. Me too.
Now there would not be a lot to look forward to if we're going into backup quarterbacks in week 3.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining the Network 216 show. I want to thank Casey Kinnaman from the All Eyes on Cleveland and Barking Browns pod for joining us, helping us break down this game. Join us next week. We will be back here. Go give us a like, subscribe on all of our socials at Network 216 at my God, it's so thin I can't see it. I got glasses and I can't see your handle. But give us a like on all of our socials. Go ahead.
TikTok, Redshirt Fresh Fan. I'm always riling up the Browns fans and other fandoms, but also on X or Twitter, whatever we're calling it these days, it's RS Fresh Fan. You don't get enough letters in that one to make it full for me. So that's where you'll get my raw content during the game of just screaming about not great play calls and stuff like that. So for the algorithm for YouTube and everything, please like, subscribe. It helps. It all helps for us, and hopefully we'll have some surprises for you later on this year.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully we sneak out a win today. Highly doubt it. Go Browns.
My bank account would love that. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Hoo, hoo, hoo.